The discovery. Admiral Elena Chen stood at the center of Cheyenne Mountain's newly constructed Stellar Defense Command, her eyes fixed on the massive holographic display that dominated the chamber. The quantum sensors, disguised as routine deep space research arrays, had detected what humanity had been preparing for during the past 30 years. The signature of a massive alien fleet approaching the outer edges of the solar system. "Status report," she commanded, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. Dr. James Rodriguez, head of the Quantum Detection Division, stepped forward. "The fleet matches the patterns we've observed from the Archon Imperium. Based on their trajectory and speed, they'll reach Jupiter's orbit in approximately 72 hours. Elena nodded, remembering the day 3 decades ago when humanity's first quantum telescope array had revealed the truth of the galaxy. They had watched in secret as the Archons systematically conquered and absorbed civilizations they deemed primitive, all while remaining completely unaware of Earth's true technological capabilities. "Begin Operation Shadow Protocol," Elena ordered. Across the globe, carefully maintained facades began to shift. Primitive radar installations and outdated satellite networks remained active, while beneath the surface, humanity's real defensive grid hummed to life. The deception had been meticulous. While the world's governments publicly squabbled over budgets and maintained the appearance of struggling with basic spaceflight, the United Earth Defense Force had been preparing. Quantum computing, zero-point energy, and consciousness-transferred AI systems, all developed in absolute secrecy. "Ma'am," Lieutenant Sarah Patel called out from her station, "we're receiving the first detailed scans of their fleet composition. 27 capital ships, approximately 300 support vessels." She paused, checking additional readings. "Their technology. It's exactly what our deep space observations predicted. They're still relying on conventional shield matrices and plasma-based weapons." Elena allowed herself a small smile. The Archons' greatest weakness was their arrogance, their absolute certainty in their technological superiority. They had never encountered a species that had developed along a completely different technological path, one that had prioritized quantum mechanics and consciousness transfer over brute force energy weapons. "Initialize the Lazarus grid," Elena commanded. Throughout the solar system, seemingly defunct satellites and space debris, carefully placed over decades, began to power up. Each piece contained a quantum entanglement node, forming an invisible web of instantaneous communication and sensor coverage. Dr. Rodriguez's hands flew over his console. "Lazarus grid online. The Archons haven't detected any change in our technological signature. As far as their sensors can tell, we're still broadcasting routine radio signals and using chemical rockets." Elena turned to face the assembled command staff, each member representing decades of secret preparation and sacrifice. "Send word to all UEDF facilities. This is what we've prepared for. Maintain emissions control protocols. Let them think we're blind to their approach." She walked to the tactical display, studying the holographic representation of Earth's hidden defenses. Quantum torpedo platforms disguised as communication satellites, consciousness-transferred AI fighters hidden within asteroid shells, and their greatest achievement, the UEDF Prometheus, humanity's first true warship, concealed within a hollowed-out section of the moon. "What's the status of the civilian population?" Elena asked, turning to Colonel Marcus Webb, head of Public Relations and Security. "The public remains unaware of any immediate threat," he reported. "Our social media algorithms are successfully maintaining the narrative of routine astronomical observations. The panic prevention protocols are holding." Elena nodded in approval. They had learned from studying the Archons' previous conquests. Species that showed fear or attempted last-minute diplomatic contact were immediately marked for subjugation. But humanity would give them nothing. No fear, no pleading, no sign that Earth was anything more than another primitive world ripe for conquest. "Dr. Rodriguez," Elena called out, "begin charging the quantum core of the Prometheus. Lieutenant Patel, Activate all sleeper AI units in the asteroid belt. Colonel Webb, prepare the emergency broadcast system for activation on my command. She straightened her uniform, feeling the weight of humanity's future on her shoulders. The Arkans believe they're approaching a primitive species that will bow before their superior technology. Instead, they're about to learn why humanity has survived every challenge it has ever faced. As the command center hummed with activity, Alina watched the approaching fleet on the tactical display. The Arkans had conquered dozens of worlds, their victory assured by their technological superiority. But they had never encountered a species that had spent decades preparing specifically for them, a species that had developed its technology in secret, along paths the Arkans had never explored. In 72 hours, the galaxy's balance of power would change forever. Humanity was ready, and the Arkans would never know what hit them. The first phase of Operation Shadow Protocol was underway, and Earth's greatest deception was about to become the Archon Imperium's worst nightmare. Dr. Maya Patel wiped the sweat from her brow as she studied the quantum consciousness transfer matrix before her. The sprawling laboratory, carved deep within the moon's crust, housed humanity's most ambitious secret, Project Prometheus. Behind her, through the reinforced viewing windows, engineers worked on the massive frame of what would become Earth's first true warship. The consciousness integration tests are showing promising results, her colleague, Dr. David Chen, announced from his workstation. On the display between them, an artificial intelligence consciousness successfully merged with the quantum computing core, demonstrating reaction times thousands of times faster than conventional computer systems. Maya nodded, remembering the breakthrough that had led them here. While the rest of the world focused on traditional artificial intelligence development, her team had taken a radical approach, creating AI by capturing and transferring human consciousness patterns into quantum matrices. The result was something unprecedented: artificial intelligences that thought and reacted with human intuition, but at quantum computing speeds. Director Williams is here for the monthly inspection, David warned, straightening his lab coat. Maya turned as the heavy security doors split open, admitting Director Sarah Williams, the overall head of Project Prometheus. Despite being in her 60s, Sarah moved with the energy of someone half her age, her eyes sharp as she surveyed the laboratory. Dr. Patel, Dr. Chen, she greeted them. Show me what progress we've made. Maya led them to the central testing chamber. We've successfully integrated the quantum consciousness matrix with the ship's core systems, she explained, bringing up a holographic display of the test results. The AI can now control all ship functions simultaneously, with reaction times measured in picoseconds. Sarah studied the data, her expression thoughtful. And the ethical constraints. Fully integrated and unbreakable, David assured her. The consciousness transfer process preserves human empathy and moral understanding while enhancing cognitive capabilities. We're creating guardians, not just weapons. The director nodded, then turned to look through the viewing window at the massive ship taking shape in the cavern beyond. The UEDF Prometheus was unlike anything humanity had built before. Nearly 2 kilometers in length, its sleek form housed technologies that would seem like magic to most of Earth's population. The quantum drive integration is proceeding ahead of schedule, Maya continued, leading them to another workstation. Instead of conventional faster-than-light travel, we're utilizing quantum entanglement principles. The ship doesn't so much move through space as it redistributes its quantum probability across space-time. In simple terms, David added, it can essentially be anywhere it needs to be, instantly, by manipulating quantum states at a fundamental level. Sarah's eyes narrowed. And our observers confirm the Arkans have nothing like this. Confirmed, Maya replied. Their entire technological base is built around energy manipulation, plasma weapons, shield technology, conventional faster-than-light drives. They've never developed quantum technology beyond the most basic level. They don't even seem to understand its potential. They moved to the weapons testing area, where simulations showed the effectiveness of their quantum-based armaments. Traditional shields work by creating energy barriers, David explained. Our quantum torpedoes simply bypass them entirely, existing in multiple states until they phase into reality inside the target. And the defenses? Sarah asked. Maya brought up another simulation. Instead of trying to stop attacks with energy shields, we've developed quantum probability fields. They don't block incoming fire. They make it statistically impossible for attacks to connect in the first place. Sarah watched the simulations with satisfaction. On the screens, conventional weapons simply failed to connect with their targets, their trajectories becoming uncertain at the quantum level. And you're certain these systems can be maintained at full military scale. The quantum consciousness cores make it possible, Maya confirmed. Traditional computers couldn't handle the calculations needed to maintain these fields in real time. But our AIs can process quantum probability calculations across multiple dimensions simultaneously. They moved to the final station, where the ship's most crucial system was being developed. The quantum camouflage is performing beyond expectations, David reported. It doesn't just hide the ship, it actively projects false sensor readings. We can make the Prometheus appear to be anything from a small asteroid to empty space. Sarah placed her hands on the railing, looking out at the massive vessel. 25 years, she mused. 25 years of secret development, hidden resources, and midnight breakthroughs, all while maintaining the illusion of a technologically primitive Earth. The hardest part wasn't developing the technology, Maya admitted. It was ensuring no one outside the project suspected we were developing it at all. When I was chosen to lead this project, Sarah said quietly, they told me I was committing to protecting Earth from a threat most of humanity didn't even know existed. They said we needed to develop defenses that our enemies couldn't possibly prepare for, because they wouldn't even know they were possible. She turned to face the scientists. You've succeeded beyond our wildest expectations. Maya and David shared a proud look. The Prometheus represented humanity's greatest achievement, not just technologically, but in their ability to keep secrets when it mattered most. While the world's attention had been focused on conventional space programs and visible military developments, they had quietly revolutionized humanity's understanding of physics itself. Final integration of all systems will be complete within the month, Maya reported. After that, it's just a matter of waiting for the Archons to make their move. Sarah nodded grimly. They will come. Their empire expands constantly, and Earth is clearly marked in their database as a primitive world ready for conquest. She smiled. They have no idea they're walking into a trap decades in the making. As if in response, the quantum core of the Prometheus pulsed with a soft blue light, its AI consciousness preparing for the role it would play in humanity's greatest deception and its greatest victory. General Michael Santos watched the holographic display as the Archon fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Mars orbit. Their arrival was precisely as predicted, a show of overwhelming force meant to shock and awe a primitive civilization into immediate surrender. Begin Phase 1 of Operation Shadow Protocol, he ordered. Across Earth's surface, carefully orchestrated chaos erupted. Military bases scrambled outdated fighter jets. Radio telescopes broadcast panicked signals. Social media exploded with grainy photos and videos of the alien ships, all carefully crafted by UEDF's Disinformation Division. Sir, Lieutenant Commander Jessica Wong reported from her station. Civilian response is proceeding according to psychological models. Mass panic index at acceptable levels. Michael nodded. The response had to be perfect. Enough fear to convince the Archons of Earth's primitiveness, but not so much organization that it would suggest preparation. Status of the Prometheus. Quantum camouflage holding steady, Jessica responded. The Archons are conducting standard scans of the lunar surface. Their sensors are reading exactly what we want them to. A dead satellite with minimal scientific outposts. The massive holographic display showed the Archon fleet spreading out in their standard conquest formation. Their arrogance was evident in every move. No screening of potential threats, no detailed analysis of Earth's defensive capabilities. Why bother when dealing with a primitive species that had barely reached its own moon? Receiving transmission from the Archon flagship, Communications Officer Raj Patel announced. They're broadcasting on all frequencies, using basic radio waves. Put it through, Michael ordered. And make sure our response appears appropriately primitive. The holographic display shifted, showing the imposing figure of Supreme Commander Tarthul of the Archon Imperium. The alien's crystalline form pulsed with internal light as it spoke, its words automatically translated by Earth's quantum AI systems. Primitive species of the third planet. Tarthul's voice boomed. Your world has been chosen for integration into the glorious Archon Imperium. Your technological and cultural development has been assessed as inadequate for independent existence. Submit to immediate occupation and integration, and your species will be preserved as productive members of the Imperium. Michael activated the pre-prepared response system. Across Earth, carefully coordinated reactions began. The United Nations broadcast confused and frightened responses. Military forces launched futile missile attacks that dissipated harmlessly against Archon shields. Civilian communications networks erupted with panic and confusion. In the background, Lieutenant Commander Wong monitored the Archon's sensor suites. They're following standard conquest protocols, sir. Detailed scanning of military installations, analysis of weapon systems, assessment of industrial capabilities. Are they finding exactly what we want them to find? Michael asked. Affirmative, she replied with a slight smile. Their scans show exactly what we've spent decades preparing. A civilization struggling with basic rocket technology, reliant on chemical propellants and nuclear fission. No signs of quantum technology, no evidence of advanced AI development. The deception went deeper than just technology. Earth's visible scientific development had been carefully crafted to show progress along the exact paths the Archons had seen in every other civilization they'd conquered. Every patent, every published paper, every technological breakthrough visible to the outside world had been selected to reinforce the image of a predictable, unthreatening species. They're launching atmospheric probes, Raj reported. Standard pattern for preliminary invasion assessment. Michael watched as small Archon vessels entered Earth's atmosphere. Each one was being tracked by dozens of quantum sensors, their every movement analyzed and predicted. But to the Archon's own instruments, Earth appeared to have nothing more sophisticated than primitive radar systems struggling to track their movements. Begin Phase 2, Michael ordered. Around the globe, Earth's visible military forces mobilized in exactly the way the Archons expected. Chaotic, uncoordinated, relying on outdated weapons and tactics. Fighter jets scrambled with conventional missiles. Ground-based radar installations tracked the alien ships with primitive radio waves. Sir, Jessica called out, detecting energy buildup in the Archon fleet. They're preparing for their standard shock and awe demonstration. Michael nodded grimly. This was the moment they'd prepared for. The Archons always followed the same pattern. A demonstration of overwhelming force, usually by destroying a major military installation, while leaving civilian populations untouched. It was meant to prove the futility of resistance. All quantum defense systems remain passive, he ordered. Let them think their demonstration will have the intended effect. The Archon fleet moved with practiced precision, their formation spreading out to cover Earth's major military installations. Supreme Commander Sarthel's voice boomed across all frequencies again. To demonstrate the futility of resistance, we will now eliminate your primary military command structure. After this demonstration, you will have one planetary rotation to submit to Imperial authority. Michael allowed himself a small smile. The Archons were following their conquest playbook perfectly, never suspecting that every move, every decision, had been predicted and prepared for decades in advance. In the quantum-shielded chambers beneath the moon's surface, the Prometheus's AI consciousness monitored the situation, ready to execute the final phase of humanity's greatest deception. Let them make their demonstration, Michael commanded. Then we'll show them why they should have looked more carefully at the species they thought was primitive. The Archean fleet's weapons powered up, preparing to deliver what they thought would be a decisive blow to Earth's military capability. Instead, they were about to trigger humanity's trap, decades in the making. The turning point. The Archean fleet's weapons blazed, massive energy beams lancing down toward Earth's major military installations. Supreme Commander Kar Thul watched with satisfaction, anticipating the destruction that would convince yet another primitive species to submit to imperial rule. But something was wrong. The energy beams never reached their targets. Instead, they simply ceased to exist, disappearing into probability fields that the Archean's sensors couldn't even detect. In the command center beneath Cheyenne Mountain, Admiral Alina Chen gave the order they'd waited decades to deliver. Execute Operation Shadow Protocol. Final phase. Prometheus, you are weapons-free. The surface of the moon rippled like liquid mercury as the quantum camouflage field dissolved. The UEDF Prometheus emerged from its lunar hiding place, its 2-kilometer length dwarfing even the Archean flagship. The ship's quantum core pulsed with brilliant blue-white light as its AI consciousness, developed from the merged patterns of Earth's greatest military minds, brought all systems to full power. Impossible. Hexarthal's crystalline form flickered with shock. Their moon, it was empty. Our scans showed nothing but basic research outposts. The Prometheus's response came not in words but in action. Quantum torpedoes materialized simultaneously inside the shields of a dozen Archean warships, their conventional defenses useless against weapons that ignored normal spacetime. The targeted vessels erupted in chains of explosions, their quantum cores destabilizing and cascading reactions. In orbit around Earth, what had appeared to be defunct satellites and space debris suddenly activated. The Lazarus grid came online, its quantum-entangled nodes creating an instantaneous command and control network that no conventional technology could detect or disrupt. This is Admiral Alina Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. Her voice transmitted across all frequencies. Your demonstration has been noted. Now, allow us to respond in kind. From the asteroid belt, hundreds of automated fighters emerged from their hiding places, their consciousness-transferred AI pilots reacting with impossible speed and precision. They blinked in and out of existence, using quantum translocation to appear inside the Archean formation, striking with weapons that bypassed shields as if they didn't exist. All UEDF forces, execute Battle Plan Omega, Alina commanded. Show them what humanity has been hiding. The Prometheus itself seemed to multiply, quantum probability fields creating dozens of perfect copies, each as real as the original until the moment of impact. The Archean fleet's formation broke as ships tried desperately to target an enemy that existed in multiple states simultaneously. This is not possible. Hexarthal rage. You are primitives. We watched your development. Your technology. You watched exactly what we wanted you to watch, Alina interrupted. Every patent we published, every rocket we launched, every weapon we developed in public, it was all a carefully crafted deception. While you were monitoring our nuclear missiles and chemical rockets, we were developing technologies you never even thought to look for. The space around Earth erupted in a battle unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Archean energy weapons and plasma torpedoes crashed uselessly against quantum probability fields that made their targets mathematically impossible to hit. Earth's quantum-based weapons, guided by AI consciousness operating at speeds no organic mind could match, struck with devastating precision. Sir, Lieutenant Commander Wang's voice carried a note of fierce pride. The Archean fleet is falling into total disarray. Their conventional tactical AI can't adapt to our quantum warfare systems. The Prometheus demonstrated the full extent of humanity's technological leap. It didn't just fire weapons. It manipulated the very fabric of space-time. Archean ships found themselves trapped in temporal loops, their weapons firing at targets that had already quantum shifted to new positions. Others discovered their shield generators had been transformed into abstract mathematical concepts, existing in a state of pure quantum uncertainty. Fascinating, the Prometheus's AI commented, its consciousness seamlessly coordinating thousands of simultaneous actions. They never developed quantum technology because they couldn't conceive of consciousness-transferred AI capable of managing the calculations. Their entire empire is built on the assumption that their path of technological development was the only possible one. The battle reached its crescendo as the Prometheus engaged the Archon flagship directly. Zarthul watched in horror as his vessel's most powerful weapons dissipated harmlessly against quantum fields that shouldn't have been possible. The human ship's response was devastating. Not energy beams or projectiles, but precise manipulations of quantum states that caused entire sections of his vessel to simply cease existing in normal spacetime. "Stop this," Exarthul demanded. "You cannot possess this level of technology. We monitored your world for centuries." "Then let this be a lesson," Alina replied calmly. "Never mistake a species' visible technology for the limits of their capability. While you watched our space rockets and satellites, we watched you conquer world after world. We studied your tactics, your technology, your weaknesses, and we developed countermeasures you couldn't possibly prepare for, because you didn't even know they were possible." The battle lasted less than 30 minutes. When it ended, the mighty Archon fleet was in ruins. Dozens of ships had been reduced to quantum uncertainty patterns, others were trapped in recursive temporal loops, and the rest were fleeing in blind panic, their crews unable to comprehend how a supposedly primitive species had so completely outmaneuvered them. Admiral Chen stood on the Prometheus's bridge, watching the aftermath of humanity's first space battle. "Send word to all Earth Defense Forces," she ordered. "Operation Shadow Protocol is complete. The deception is over." She paused, allowing herself a moment of satisfaction. "It's time to show the galaxy who we really are." The quantum AI systems had already calculated the ripple effects this battle would have across the galaxy. The Archon Imperium's assumption of technological superiority had been shattered, and with it, their entire strategy of conquest. But more importantly, the galaxy was about to discover that humanity was not just another primitive species to be conquered. They were the ones who had been watching, waiting, and preparing, and now, finally, they were ready to emerge from the shadows. A new dawn, 3 months after the Battle of Earth. Galactic Council Emergency Session, Neutral Space. The massive chamber of the Galactic Council fell silent as Admiral Alina Chen stepped onto the speaking platform. The representatives of over 200 spacefaring civilizations watched with a mixture of fear, awe, and curiosity as the human delegate prepared to address them. Behind her, a holographic display showed the now famous footage of the Battle of Earth, where a supposedly primitive species had shattered the mighty Archon fleet. "Distinguished representatives of the galaxy," Alina began, her voice carrying clearly through the translator fields. 3 months ago, humanity revealed itself to the galaxy in a way that has caused considerable concern. Today, I am here to explain why we chose deception, and more importantly, what we intend to do now. The chamber's lighting shifted as she activated a new holographic display, showing Earth's public development timeline alongside its secret technological achievements. For centuries, humanity watched the stars, and what we saw troubled us. We witnessed the Archon Imperium's systematic conquest of worlds they deemed primitive. We observed how they judged civilizations based on their visible technology, never considering that a species might choose to hide its true capabilities. Murmurs rippled through the assembly as Alina continued. But we also saw something else, the fundamental flaw in their approach to technological development. The Archons, and many others, assumed there was only one path to the stars: energy manipulation, plasma weapons, shield technology. They never explored the quantum realm beyond its most basic applications. The holographic display shifted to show the Prometheus, Earth's quantum warship that had become a symbol of humanity's hidden strength. We chose a different path, While maintaining a facade of primitive technology, we developed quantum computing, consciousness transfer, and probability manipulation. We created artificial intelligences that think like humans but operate at quantum speeds. We built defenses that don't stop attacks. They make them mathematically impossible. From his position in the chamber, the reformed Archon representative, Acting Commander Vaxtel, spoke up. But why the deception? Why not simply develop openly and establish diplomatic relations? Alina's expression remained calm, but her voice carried a note of steel. Because history taught us that visible power attracts challenge, the Archon Imperium's entire strategy relied on identifying and conquering civilizations before they could become threats. By appearing primitive, we gained time to develop, to prepare, to ensure that when we finally revealed ourselves, it would be on our terms. The display changed again, showing the aftermath of the battle. But our victory over the Archon fleet was not meant to establish human dominance. It was meant to prove a point, that no species has a monopoly on innovation, and that assuming technological superiority based on visible development is a dangerous mistake. She gestured to the assembled representatives. In the 3 months since the battle, we've detected massive shifts in development patterns across the galaxy. Species that were hiding their own advances, much as we did, have begun to emerge. The assumption that there is only one path to advanced technology has been shattered. The chamber erupted in discussion as several delegates nodded in agreement. Alina waited for the noise to settle before continuing. Today, humanity comes before this council not to claim dominance, but to propose a new way forward. We offer to share our quantum technology with any civilization that pledges to respect the autonomy of developing worlds. The holographic display shifted one final time, showing plans for a new type of galactic organization. We proposed the establishment of the Quantum Development Initiative, a collaborative effort to explore new paths of technological advancement while protecting the right of every species to develop at their own pace and in their own way. From their section of the chamber, the representatives of several former Archon client states signaled their support. Even some of the Archon's traditional allies seemed intrigued by the proposal. The battle 3 months ago proved that technological advancement cannot be measured by a single standard, Alina concluded. Humanity hid its true capabilities not out of fear, but because we recognize that true strength lies not in dominating others, but in choosing when and how to reveal your power. She gestured to the assembled delegates. We now stand at a crossroads. The old order of conquest and subjugation has been proven obsolete. In its place, we can build something new. A galaxy where innovation is not limited by preconceptions, where species are judged not by their visible technology, but by their potential. The chamber was silent for a long moment before erupting in discussion. Representatives from dozens of worlds signaled their desire to join the initiative. Even the Archon delegation, humbled by their defeat, indicated their willingness to participate under the new framework. In the months that followed, the galaxy underwent a transformation. Hidden quantum research facilities emerged on worlds previously thought primitive. Species that had concealed their true capabilities revealed technological advances that defied conventional understanding. The age of conquest gave way to an era of collaboration and discovery. The Prometheus remained a symbol of this new age, not as a weapon of war, but as a reminder that appearances could be deceiving. Its quantum AI consciousness, now joined by others developed by newly revealed quantum civilizations, helped coordinate the biggest technological exchange in galactic history. Admiral Chen, standing on the Prometheus's observation deck as it orbited Earth, watched ships from across the galaxy arrive for the first Quantum Development Summit. The deception was over, the shadows dispelled. Humanity had emerged not just as a powerful species, but as the catalyst for a fundamental change in how civilizations viewed technology and development. The stars no longer represented threats to be watched, but possibilities to be explored. And in the quantum realm, where probability and consciousness intertwined, the future held infinite potential.